Hi everyone, it's Paul back again, and this is the video for day 3 of the 2020 Cheltenham Festival. Kicking off with the 130, which is now called the Marsh Novices Chase. It's a grade 1 over 2.5 miles. Interesting renewal this year. Mixture of horses that might be great and older campaigners who everyone's used to. Starting with the honourable mentions, we obviously start with Mellon. Willie Mullins, Patrick Mullins taking the ride. Obviously loves it here at the festival, has run well in champion chases and champion hurdles and supreme novices. His chase form to great, though, isn't great. And being honest, I think he would need others to falter and for Cheltenham to bring about more improvement, I think, if he's going to hit the frame. Reserve Tank's interesting for Colin Tizard and Robbie Power. Based on his Rising Star Novices Chase win, the Grade 2 at Wincanton, you'd say he's a great chance, but he's been turned over twice at odds on since, and he's been off since November. So you would have to hope that whatever he's had done while he's off and etc. has really brought about improvements. His jumping hasn't been fantastic. Sam Crow. 2 years ago, world at his feet, looked a world beater, won at Cheltenham really well, looked immense. Hasn't looked the same horse for me since he fell the race after Cheltenham at Punchestown. Davy Russell takes the ride for Gordon Elliott. As I said, he seems destined for the top, but there's issue after issue after issue. He's done some good runs, then some bad runs. He fell, etc. He's had a wind operation since, but he would really need that to have made a huge difference with some good horses. Now for the ones at the frame, Mr. Fisher is a good horse. Nicky Henderson, Nico de Boinville. 2 for 3 over fences, including over course and distance. But if you look at his 2 wins, the form of beating Good Boy Bobby and Al Dancer has been hit quite heavily. So while the horse can only beat what's ahead of him, it hasn't exactly been franked. But this has been his target for a while, and I think he's going to run a really good race. The current favourite is Itchy Feet for Ollie Murphy, Gavin Sheehan taking the ride. 3rd in the Supreme Novice last year, and a really, really good Group 1 winner on the latest start. A worthy favourite. And yeah, there's nothing more you can say. But for the win, I'm going for the legend. And it's not just sentimental. I am going for Faheen, for Willie Mullins. Unbeaten over fences, including 2 Grade 1 wins. Even if he makes a mistake, he's got such an engine he just keeps finding. His record, especially in his younger days at Cheltenham, was absolutely brilliant. And he is class. And I think he's a type who could get loose on the lead here. And if he comes back to life going around Cheltenham, I just think there's still life left in the old boy yet. 5-1, I think, is a really, really good price. And with someone with absolute stamina guaranteed, I think if his jumping can hold up, he could have him at it from some way out. So 1, 2, 3 then for the March Novices Chase, Faheen from Mr. Fisher and Itchy Feet. Which brings us on to the 210 now, which is the Pertemps final handicap hurdle. It's a Group 3 over 3 mile, always really, really hard. Kilbrick and Storm stood out for a while for me, for Tizard and Cobden combination. Obviously won the Albert Bartlett a few years ago. Has a really, really nice weight here, but he is held by both Welsh Saint and Scandiberg on back form. And I'm not a huge fan of either of Welsh Saint or Scandiberg. Welsh Saint seemed a bit awkward, and I'm not sure the hill will necessarily suit him, even though he run quite well here at the start of the year. Scandiberg for Murphy and Sheehan, course and distance winner on New Year's Day, and only once out the top 3. I just think he's done well. Got a nice weight, but there's going to be more classier horses than what he's used to running here. The Storyteller for Gordon Elliott and Davy Russell. This seems to be a bit of a plot horse. He's run well at the festival many times before. Needed only a top 6 finish last time to qualify, and he did that under a hands and heel ride, came 6th. Been kept fresh for this. Lovely weight. It's very close to the Storyteller. One who I think will make the frame at 25-1 is Royal Thief in the Jigginstown colours. Now, Relegate, who's quite fancied at 10-1 in the market, and him are very, very closely tied on 4th. Relegate came 4th last time, with Royal Thief coming 5th. But he's got now a couple of pound pull in the weights. But what gets me is Royal Thief was favourite that day, got hampered in running, and only just finished behind Relegate now has a pull in the weights. So based on that, and I think the hill will suit him as well. I know it'll suit Relegate as a former champion bump winner, but I think Royal Thief, with some bookies paying 6 or even 7 in this, is great each way value at 25 to 1. But for the win, I'm going back for last year's winner, Sierre de Burley. Won last year by a neck, but had all sorts of trouble, got hampered, nearly brought down in running, got no run, came through late, and was a lot more value for the neck win. He's run twice at the festival, obviously won that time, won really well, I think, in the David Pipe the year before, and has followed a very similar lightly raced route coming down the field this year, keeping his weight higher, because you've won a Pertemps, but not staggeringly higher, and I think he's being trained for the day. 1, 2, 3 then for the Pertemps final, Sierre de Burley from the Storyteller and Royal Thief. Moving on now to the 250, which is the Ryanair Chase. It's grade 1, 2 mile 4, and this looks like an interesting renewal this year. Honourable mentions, last year's winner Frodon did it really well last year, but has looked well below his best his first 2 starts before winning the Silviniaco Conti, but did look in trouble that day as well, and it wasn't a vintage renewal. I think this year is stronger than last year, and for that reason, I think he'll run well, but might just be caught out. Riders on the Storm, the Twiston Davises, Nigel and Sam, has improved all ends this year. Fell in the Close Brothers last year and got really buzzed up before, which is a trait about him. So again, watching the preliminaries is really, really important. My concern is that we had a really, really tough race at Ascot 26 days ago. That's when Surname fell. It looked like Traffic Fluid was actually going to come and take him. It was bottomless ground and it was a hard race. That's the only thing putting me off this one. ASO is back again for his 5th, I think it is, festival appearance. Placed in the last 2 renewals of this race. Kept fresh. 6 times he's won or been placed at the course. So he clearly likes it here. Been kept fresh, in decent form. Huge price again, like he always is. I think ASO could really hit the frame. Min, I think, has got a big chance. Very, very easy winner of the Melon Chase at Aintree over 2.5 miles. And does seem to be better at this trip. Very consistent, but the worry I've got is his win rate is very, very low. He does not win as often as he should. And for that reason, if there's something lurking, I think he could be destined for a place again. And I think something is lurking, and that horse is the horse I tipped up last year for the Novices Chase, and that is A Plutard for Henry de Bromhead and Rachel Blackmore. Obviously won the Novices race really well last year. Okay, that was on the old course. This is on the new course. I don't think that will have too much of an impact, to be honest with you. He was second in a grade 2 on his first start this season before beating Chassoon Poursoir in a grade 1 over 2 miles at Christmas. Now, Chassoon Poursoir got pulled out the champion chase today, but was pretty much outright or joint favourite for that. And that race, when he was outright and joint favourite, looked stronger than even this race was. And I think this trip is more to his liking. So I fully expect A Plutard to add to last year's win. 1, 2, 3 then for the Ryanair Chase, A Plutard, Min and ASO. Which moves us on to the feature of day 3, which is the 4th race, the 330, which is the Stayers Hurdle, Group 1 over 3 miles. And to be honest, how can this not all be about Paisley Park for Emma Lavelle and Aidan Coleman? Won the race last year, is basically unbeaten for 2 years, racked up 7 wins since that time, including this race and 6 other graded races. Only the start of that sequence when he won a Class 2 handicap was his own non-graded win. Beaten everything that reopposes already pretty much this year. Impossible to oppose him. Somerville Boy could fill second like he did on trials day to the favourite. Jonathan Burke taking the ride. Run much, much better that day, but ultimately was just outstayed. And it's hard to not make a case for the same to happen. Emmetom got his career back on track in the Rendlesham. Took it really well last time. But was poor on his only run the time before there on New Year's Day. And that would be a concern because you can run bad first time out, but that was horrendous. And literally a matter of a month later, he run amazing. Suggests to me maybe the course isn't fully to his liking, and that will be a concern at relatively short price. I like Penhill. You know what? And he won the Ballymore in 17. He won this in 2018. Had a year and a half off then, and he's been slowly coming back to form, which The concern I've got is he won those last two pretty much fresh. He won at Cheltenham the Ballymore and then came back a year later and won first time out the Stayers. So the fact he's taken some runs to get used to it is slight concern, but maybe they're just training him different now he's getting older. But either way, Penhill should definitely be running his race given his Cheltenham record. And the only other one who is definitely worth an honourable mention is City Island for Martin Brazel and Mark Walsh. Won the Ballymore last year, but my biggest issue I've got is that he didn't back it up. He looked to be winning out of turn there. He did not back it up at all at Punchestown. Sent chasing, didn't take to chasing, had a wind up and back hurdling. So there's a mixture of suspect form and didn't take to chasing. So that would temper my enthusiasm. But if the wind ups work, big opportunity. But for the 1, 2, 3, I'm happy to stick with Paisley Park from Somerville Boy and Penhill. Fifth race on day 3 is the 410, which is the Brown Plate. I'm calling it Brown and Steel handicap chase. It's a grade 3 over 2 mile 4. And there's a standout horse here based on former day 1. And that is Simply the Bets for Harry Rittington and Gavin Sheehan. Won over course and distance really well on trials day, travelled amazing, jumped well, and ultimately won easy by a length and a half. But the reason this one stands out is he comfortably beat Imperial Aura, and Imperial Aura went to the novices chase yesterday and absolutely hosed up in it. And for that reason, it's the best frank form that's out there. Sorry, my camera's just gone nuts, but there we go, we're back. Ben Dundee is interesting for Gordon Elliott, potentially well in, but my problem is in 2 starts that he's had here, he's been beaten something like 17 and 22 lengths, which suggests to me, okay, this might be easier, may not like the course, so there's big risks attached. Mr. Whitaker and La Bagawar have gone well round here before and are classy horses, but all massively, both of them massively below form this season. Same to last year's winner, Seru Delac for Nick Williams and Lizzie Kelly. Only had 1 run since last year, pulled up in that, which will be a concern. Hasn't been seen since. £9 higher, big concerns attached. I like the 2 Skelton runners. Old Grangewood for Dan and Harry. The defeats this year of Kalashnikov reads well, and then his course and distance third reads well in a grade 3, reads very well, in fact, same level as this. A career best would be needed off his mark, but for that reason, though, he does run well here. I think a big run is on the cards at double figure price. I actually slightly prefer what seems to be the second string on jockey bookings, which is Spirit of the Games for Dan Skelton and Bridget Andrews taking the ride. Finished 5th. Or finished in the first 5 out of 6 races finished 5 in 6 out of his 7 races. So in 6 of his races, he's finished in the first 5, only once not, including coming 3rd in this last year. He was 2nd in 2 course and distance grade 3s in his last 2 starts and is actually £3 better off now. So bear in mind, this is a grade 3. That will put him bang there. And again, double figure price is really good. But for the win, I'm sticking with Simply the Bets, purely based on he's got the course and distance form, he's got the more frank form, and I think even at 4-1, I don't think that's going to last. 1, 2, 3 then for the Brown Plate, the 410, Simply the Bets from Spirit of the Games and Old Grangewood. Which moves us on now to the 450, which is the Dawn Run Novices Hurdle. Amazingly, the short price favourite last year for this was Epatons, finished massively down the field, and went and hosed up in the champion hurdle yesterday. So you never know. There could be something special in here. This year, there's nothing standing out. Every year, there's always been a Mullins horse, like a Lorena or something. Something stands out, but not this year. The favourite is Manila Melody for Henry de Bromhead and Rachel Blackmore, which is totally understandable. 3 for 3 over hurdles and easily beat the reopposing Mullins mare, Col Reevy, on his latest start. Now, Col Reevy, it was a good run, but held behind the favourite last time. And to be honest, back form on that isn't much. So I definitely think I prefer Manila Melody over Col Reevy. Mullins is mob-handed in this, which makes it really, really tricky. But looking at Concertista for Willie Mullins with Daryl Jacob taking the ride, this one was beaten on the line in this race last year on his hurdles debut. Now, that is pretty staggering since. My one worry I've got is, since that run, and sometimes these French horses fly on the first time over hurdles in England. Since then, this horse has done nothing. So that would be a concern. Could all be about today, but the fact he's done nothing is a huge concern. For a place, I also fancy another Mullins seemingly second string, Dolcita, with Robbie Power taking the ride. This one was really, really close third, only beaten 2 lengths by Manila Melody and Colreevy on the latest. But if you look at the form, look at it on the Racing Post, the first, second, fourth and fifth home were all in the front wave. This one was held up in last, and it was the only one to do anything from off the pace in a slowly run race. This will be run a lot quicker. I think the hill will be more to her advantage, and I think this one has got a great price, and I think it's overpriced at around 10 to 1. But despite all of these Irish challenges, for the winner, I am going for a British mare. And that horse is Floressa for Nico de Boinville, Nicky Henderson. Only 2 from 4 over hurdles. But on the wins, the defeat of Jeremy's Flame reads really, really well. And then the placed effort at Doncaster behind Lady Buttons reads really well. Lady Buttons is clearly better on a flat track. Forget the run yesterday. On flat track, she hardly gets beaten in the winter months ever. So I think that's a really, really solid effort. Running on at the end, suggesting needed more of a stamina test. Also had a second behind Silver Forever, who's out of novices now. So that is actually a really, really good run. Paul Nicholls really likes that horse. And Silver Forever is very, very tough. And that was an early on run against that one. So that was a really good performance. I think the horse would have come on for this. And at around 8 to 1, I think that's the value here, rather than playing the short price around the likes of Manila Melody or Colreevy. 1, 2, 3 then in the dawn run, the 450, Floressa from Manila Melody and Dolcita. Which brings us on to the last race of day 3, which is the 5:30, which is the Kim Muir Amateur Riders Handicap Chase. It's a Class 2 over 3 mile 2. Very, very tricky renewal, but I have quite a strong fancy to this, and we'll get to that at the end. Keep the suspense building. The favourite is Lab Royale for Ben Paulding, Jamie Codd taking the ride. Won the 4 miler last year and obviously needs extreme trips. Discorama came out that 4 mile last year and run really, really well in the 3 mile handy, the Ultima, I think it was yesterday. So the form of that is reading pretty good. The biggest problem I've got is this horse hasn't looked the same since, with the big trait being travelling, staying on, and then weakening very, very quickly. So that will be a very concern about a short price on this. Disa Arba, Philip Hobbs, Will Biddick taking the ride. This could be the improver, but I want to see the improvement before tackling a race as competitive as the Kim Muir. This one has won his last 2 and has slowly been getting the hang of things over fences. If he keeps that upward curve coming, he has got a very, very big chance. But Willie, this is a much more stronger test. And that reason, he's only just out of my top 3. Same with Bob Marler. Bob Marler won the Borders National over 4 mile 1 latest. So clearly loves a staying test and has won a course and distance race last year. The key to this one, though, is that he must have good ground. Now, at the moment, I think it's going to be soft, probably all over tomorrow, and kicking up maybe on the new course. Might be a bit better because they haven't used the ground, but there is rain forecast. He's never done anything really on soft ground, but Bob Marler would put in if it was good ground, but at the moment it's not, so I'm not putting him in, but that's the watching brief. Honourable mention, and this one, if I was given 4, would be in here, at a huge price, is Flying Angel for Nigel Twiston-Davis with Zach Baker taking the ride. Came 5th in the Ultima last year, absolutely flying home at the end. The problem is in this form, he's in and out of form all season, but he's gone well at the course before, and he is more than up to winning a Class 2 handicap if he was on fire. And at around 25, 33 to 1 in places, the risk is if he's on a going day. So it's a complete stab in the dark. But if he's on a going day, he is more than capable of a race like this. Now to the ones I'm putting in my top 3, starting with the one I'm putting in there at a huge, huge price. And that is a horse called One Style for Venetia Williams with Lucy Turner taking the ride. This horse has won at a lot lower level the last 5 on the bounce, jumping from the front, amazing, and staying on all the way the line. Sometimes I've watched the reviews or the replays, look like he's getting caught and just keeps finding more. A big stayer who jumps, who's in form. I think there could be a lot more improvement to come out of this. And at likely odds of around 33 to 1, 40 to 1 with Coral. I think this one could end up running well for a long, long way. So we'll have to wait and see. I'm happy to put it in the frame. The big two who I've got are very, very closely matched on form. The one who I'm putting in second is Plan of Attack for Henry de Bromhead and O'Neill taking the ride. Well, Brendan O'Neill taking the ride. This one finished just behind the selection, and I might as well review it now. It's Fitzhenry. Finished just behind that one last time, and the weights are pretty much the same. But last time out, Fitzhenry was hampered, all but brought down at the last, and ran on. Where Plan of Attack was up there and just getting there, Fitzhenry was showing a bit more at the end, making me think the hill might suit it more. Fitzhenry is obviously Paul Nolan trained. Patrick Mullins taking the ride, which says a lot, actually. He running a massive field handicap at Leopardstown at Christmas. So, again, big field won't do it. And got chinned literally on the line by Roaring Bull. Hit the front possibly too soon, but was staying on, and just got chinned. Then went the next time out, and as I said, was all but brought down, if you ask me. It was all but brought down, and then was eased off at the end. Wasn't even still beaten that far. Earlier in the season as well, look back, came second, okay, beaten 9 lengths by Chris's Dream. Now, that's a potential Gold Cup horse. This is nothing like a Gold Cup. So Fitzhenry had an excuse for one, was unlucky in a handicap in another, and has had good form behind a Gold Cup contender in another. 9-1, that won't last. That will come hammering in. I'm pretty sure of that, purely because it's JP McMullen's colours, and I think people will spot it, and Patrick Mullins is riding. But I am a very, very strong fancy on Fitzhenry for this. 1, 2, 3 then for the finale, the 5:30. Fitzhenry from Plan of Attack and One Style. Good luck, everyone.